Hey, welcome back. My name's Ken.
And my name's Richard.
And this is Don't Blame Jesus. Today, we are going to go through some online encouragement. We had mentioned before that we were going to do like YouTube and Spotify and stuff like that. Some of the things that we're
going to do YouTube and Spotify.
So that is what's on the table today. And we're going to try our first...
It's a new technique.
Our first Google Slides presentation. I'm not exactly sure how to make it go full screen rather. So you just get to come along with us as we learn how to do this. So
the wheels could come off. I'm just saying that.
They very well
but
may.
It's an adventure.
It's fun. All right, there we go. I can't figure out how to get rid of the top bar, but whatever. That doesn't matter.
Just don't look up there.
Online encouragement, video and podcast resources. Here we go.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so here we go.
All right, Rich. This is one that you're interested in.
Yeah, I love the 10-minute Bible hour. I went all the way back to the very beginning on that. There are 800 episodes for the 28 chapters of Matthew. So they break it down really, really small, and they get into the history of it. It is so friendly and being able to introduce people to it. I'd say it's a collegiate, it's like a 101 Bible class. Right. If you were taking a 101 gospel,
so kind of like our show.
Kind of like our show, yeah. And it's beautiful. I absolutely love it, and parts of it, as far as how friendly it is. If you want to be able to encourage someone else, I don't want to say it's as friendly as Blue's Clues and Mr. Rogers, but it's almost that friendly. I mean,
that's cool.
It's open to anybody, and he says, you don't have to believe the same thing as me. I'm glad you're here. Maybe you're only listening because you just want to know what your friends believe about the Bible.
Right.
Whatever reason, doesn't care. Glad you're here. Super glad you're here. And let's go through, and we're going to do a Bible study.
Yeah.
And with it, he has lots of analogies to be able to help. Like, here's the concept in Scripture.
Right.
Let's relate it to this movie because you'll get it that way. Let's relate it to this. And tell stories from his past and whatever. And he just does a great job with it. When at work, I can go through. Well, they're 10 minutes long, so I can go through easily. 6, 7 of them at a time before I I got to do something else for a bit. But definitely enjoy those. Highly recommend.
And there, just to be clear, it's not just 800 episodes on that one book of Matthew. There's a lot of stuff.
A lot of other books.
That's just one
book,
and they cover it in such detail and such. It's good. It's good that way. But there's a ton of books. We were scrolling on the YouTube page, looking at the number of episodes. There's 1.2 thousand videos on their channel.
Right.
There's a lot of episodes.
Well, and he puts out new contents 5 days a week.
Yeah. Just voluminous. It's awesome.
Yes.
All right. Cool beans. And the next one?
The next one is Cultish. And Cultish I enjoyed. I went all the way back to the very beginning on that, having to do with, Jim Jones and what's the build up? Why in the world what would suck people into this to be able to understand that, and how do you get people out of it, or even when you're dialoguing with people from other cults, you're using the same words, but do the words mean the same thing?
Right.
And they have on there people who have come out of different cults who are explaining, this is how we felt. This was what it was, and this was what turned us around and brought us to Christ.
That's awesome.
And incredible stories of cults that basically have fallen apart, and large groups of people from those have fled in mass to Christianity. Yeah. And so when they have these stories, and it's from around the world too. I mean, they're addressing cults that are coming out of Korea and I think out of the Philippines and maybe South America. That's good. And then okay, so this is what the false thing is. Here's what the true thing is, right? So, you know what the counterfeit is because you know what the truth is. Yeah. And so I find it very educational, and I find it edifying. I get stuff out of it.
Yeah. And I remember when you introduced it to me, it was during that Jim Jones thing. Those are fascinating.
It was.
listens.
It is fascinating.
Yeah.
And people are people, and people have always been people, and there's always this draw away.
Right.
What is that? How as the church, do we meet those perceived needs so that people aren't running around looking for counterfeits? Let's really explain what the truth is. Let's explain it well. Let's be able to attach the truth, carefully to people's lives, right?
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. That is a go-to. And I think it's about once a week.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, next, what do we got?
Get Fed Today. Get Fed Today is 5 Bible studies
Right.
that they put out a week, and from different Bible teaching pastors. Most of it is Calvary Chapel pastors. Most of it sounds to me, having gone to Calvary Chapel previously and gone to their pastors' conferences, it sounds like it's pastors' conferences,
Right.
which I find great because there is, well, the 10-minute Bible hour, that one's really easy. At the beginning, let's kind of get you into Christianity and explain all these different things. And you need to have that. You need to go back to the basics. This is not the basics. This is for you who are in the trenches, who are actually out there doing ministry, whatever the ministry is. Maybe you don't have to be paid doing the ministry. I'm just saying whatever it is. Let's say you're volunteering and you've volunteered for a long time at your church doing whatever it is that you do, and get worn out because you know what? It's demanding.
Yeah.
Right? It takes a lot from us, even if all you're doing is, I got one night a week where, I do a Bible study at my house, or whatever it is, all the preparation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is to encourage those who are doing the work.
Yeah.
And just beautiful. Some amazing, encouraging teaching from guys who have been doing ministry for a long time. Yeah, and gone through the ringer on some of them. If you want a tearjerker, go back to some of the early ones having to do with John Corson, and just with his family, and just what he went through, what God brought him through. God brought him through certain things that just, you'll cry. You'll cry. It'll hit you that hard. You're like going, I can't believe that as a dad and a husband going through
Right.
whatever.
Right.
No spoilers, but
Right.
yes.
That's good.
All right, so let's go to the next one.
Cool beans.
Okay, so this one is, I just started recently doing, I got a chance to go to Israel, I want to say summer of '97. And it was beautiful. I just love it. I love Israel. I would wish that anybody who gets an opportunity to go and see all the different biblical sites, go.
Yeah.
Go. I mean, go be on the Sea of Galilee. Go to Nazareth. Go to Church of the Holy Sepulchre.
Right.
And go to Bethlehem if you can. See the Church of the Nativity. Just get understanding of the land. Okay. And what was amazing to me, my daughter had asked me the difference between Seder and Passover. So I'm like, I'd kind of seen ads for it previously on YouTube.
Right.
And I'm like, sounds cool. And didn't really think much of it. But I'm going, what, do they have something on this? Because if they did, they probably know something about Seder and Passover. And so I don't want to say they did a podcast, but they did some sort of special episodes. They have 3 guys with doctorates. I think they're different doctorates that they have. One of them is a doctorate in psychology, and the other ones could be biblical. But anyway, so here they are, and they are Jews who have come to Christ, and they are going through and looking at the Passover and the Seder and pulling up stuff out of Zechariah that has to do with it. And I'm like going, wait a second. As a Bible student, why didn't I think, Passover and Zechariah, right? What are the connections there? They're connecting dots that, having grown up, as a Gentile,
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Old Testament. Don't get me wrong, but I don't camp out in Zechariah probably like I should, right?
Well, I mean, yeah.
I guess since I have all the books, I don't spend all the time there. But it was amazing. It was amazing, and they'll quote rabbis, and they'll be able to quote stuff from professors, current professors in Israel, especially on that one, and it's really, really, really well done. And so anybody who's interested in the Passover meal and communion, it would be good to go back and look at that. Another thing that they have is 116 testimonies from different Jews. Some were born here in the U.S., some were born in Israel. There's one that I remember, the guy's born in Iran.
Wow.
And they're sharing their story and how God opened their eyes. It's like the veil came off and they get it. So it's amazing. It's amazing. Here is evangelism to non-believing Jews that's happening in Israel. Well, and it's also going out to the rest of the world as well.
Right.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful because, I mean, it'd be horrifying to have Scripture in your hand and be blind to it, and just not get it, and all of a sudden when it's like, oh man, I can see it now.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can experience now. I know God.
That's just like, it's like when Saul became Paul.
Yes.
He was thinking and
yes.
acting in one way.
Yes.
Because he really believed
Yes.
that he was doing right, but then when God opened his eyes, that is, I think, the most amazing thing reading through the New Testament written by Paul is how much the Old Testament informs what he writes, and how his encyclopedic knowledge of the Old Testament to go, oh, and this says this, and that says that. This is exactly the kind of ministry when you get, and you don't see as many like ultra-Orthodox guys come to faith. At least I haven't seen them on the channels that I've seen, but when they do, man, they know the Scriptures.
Absolutely.
And man, do they be able to unwrap it for other people.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
It's like, it reminds me so much of the book of Hebrews, but for today.
Yeah.
And Paul would go and he would argue in the synagogue. He would reason with the non-believing Jew about the Messiah. And so that's what this is. And there's like, it's been silent for all these years, and it feels like all of a sudden now, in a sense, they're doing the ministry that Paul was doing.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
It's really cool.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, the next one is So Be It, which is very, very similar. These are Jewish Christians in Israel, and they share the gospel on the street. They talk to people, and it's amazing how they're very skilled at listening to where someone's at, and maybe they don't get them from where they're at all the way to Christ, but they like head them in that direction. They give away New Testaments. One of the funnest, is funnest a word? I don't know. One of the most fun things that I see them do is when they actually talk to a Jewish person and they say, if I gave you a copy of the New Testament, would you read it? And they say, well, I suppose I would give it a shot. And they pull it, and would you like it in Hebrew or English? Oh, I'll take it in whichever. And they give it to them, and it's only that thick. And they're like, this is it? And they're like, yeah, this is it. You can read it all in a day if you want to. And they're like, oh, I thought it was like, giant amounts of stuff. And then they go, they would tell them, go read in this book or that book. And they start with a Jewish genealogy of Jesus.
You start with Matthew.
They're just like, they're blown away. This is a Jewish book. They have no idea.
Yeah.
I love watching that happen on the channel. And they're so the two hosts are so gentle and so friendly. Like they can be friends with, those guys can be friends with anybody when they're out on the street. It's great. I love it too. Same. Next one that we have is Mike Winger. His YouTube channel, they basically do like he does every Friday. He does a Q&A, and it used to be 20 questions. Now it's 10 because it used to take forever to do 20 questions. But he takes questions from the chat live. His moderators set them up and line them up for him, and then he answers questions. Again, one of the things that we've said before is like it's better as a Christian sometimes to say I don't know. That is a good thing about Mike. If he doesn't know, he's not going to pretend he knows. He's going to tell you he doesn't know, and he will look it up and he will figure it out. I think his most recent things that he's done aside from the Q&A, he did a 4-hour expose exposing Benny Hinn. And then he's been on several other either other people's YouTube channels or his own YouTube channel with other people, like Costi Hinn as the nephew,
Right.
and talking with him about all of it as well.
It was on Cultish as well.
There you go.
They had both
as well.
of those on one of the episodes of Cultish. So
Yeah, and then they had he also did a 20-hour study on women in ministry. Dude, 20 hours. He did not like put it in a little simple wrapper. He gave you everything. He looked at it from all angles, talked about all the scriptures, and kind of brought you along where what he was thinking and how he was thinking, which was I think it's very balanced. I mean, his whole tagline, "Learn to think biblically," is a great motto for him and for us to encourage people to just like, look, you may think you know the way things are, but once you like go to the scriptures and you look at things very biblically and you learn how to think biblically, then whatever comes through your brain and your eyes and your ears, you can filter it through that biblical framework, which I think is just a good safety for Christians today. Super great. One of the next ones that I have liked is Yankee Arnold Ministries. He is a free grace preacher. He talks about the gospel every time. Every time he's talking about the gospel. And it's been very helpful for me to clarify the gospel. I find him, he's old-timey ministry. Like I think he has stepped down out of the pulpit and is retired, and he just travels. And he talks at all these different churches all over the country now. He used to do it at a church, and we'll get to that in a second. But now he travels. He shares the gospel. It's amazing. I really appreciate him. I think he's the one who explained to me the dichotomy between the new birth and the old man, and how they fight, and how God doesn't reform the old man but gives you a new man, and those are at war. And so that he was very, very good about that for me. Following that up immediately is Bibleline with Jesse Martinez. Jesse Martinez at Bibleline, this is the ministry that Yankee Arnold retired from. So he retired out of this ministry. Jesse Martinez is the new pastor of that church, went through the Bible college that Yankee Arnold taught at, and then he grew up and was groomed into the pastorate, and he is great, fantastic. Love he'll like look at clips from other ministries, other pastors, and if they're saying, like again, if they're saying something stupid, he says this is not right, and here's why. And he's gentle and he's kind, but he is scriptural, and I like that. I really like that about him. Next one is Living Waters. Living Waters is, you see Ray Comfort and Mark Spence and Emil Zwane. Their ministry is giving the gospel, and it's funny. Like this channel, and I'm going to skip the next one. The next channel is Ray Comfort just witnessing. So Ray Comfort, the channel, and I'll go back now, the channel Living Waters had traditionally been Ray Comfort going out, sharing the gospel, and showing it on the channel, right? And he did that like 5 days a week. It was kind of crazy. But they've made a decision to take that content, less of that content on here, on this channel, and they've put, some interesting things that are maybe not quite the same thing over and over as the witnessing was. And then on Ray Comfort Just Witnessing channel, you get to see him in the street presenting the gospel. If you learned his methodology of presenting the gospel, like basically you learned his script, you could pretty much share the gospel with anybody. Same with Yankee Arnold. I mean, if you learn his short 4-minute version of the gospel, it's easy to present. Ray's is a little longer. I think Ray Comfort gives a good, strong appeal to using the law to create a need. When you see that you have a need because of your breaking of the law, and that gives you an opportunity to present the gospel. And I think it's true what he says, that like if you're presenting the gospel simply from like facts and from maybe apologetics don't hit your heart. And the way that you prick someone's conscience is by showing them the law. And that's what the law is for, really, is to like show you that you can't make it on your own. So this is a great channel. If you keep watching the videos, keep learning his procedure of how he talks to people and the path he takes them down. It's a very good model for evangelism. I really appreciate him. Next is D.T.B.M, or Discover the Book Ministries. I really like his thorough teaching through the scriptures. He's I don't think I agree with anybody 100%. I don't agree with him 100% on everything, but I really appreciate his. A lot of times his videos are actually him teaching at a school, at a college, and so they're very, very much cerebral lessons. They're much more in depth and a little bit more of meat than milk sometimes. So I do appreciate him a lot, and he does a lot good stuff with history and all that kind of stuff. So he brings in a lot of good things. And then the last one that I have is J.D. Farag. He is a pastor he was associate pastor at Calvary Chapel, Spokane, here in town. Yeah. And then he left and he went to Hawaii, and he started this ministry, this Calvary Chapel in Kaneohe in Hawaii. And he does first service every week for years, like 14 years or something, has been a Bible prophecy update. Every weekend, first service, that's what he does. So, I mean, you got to be kind of in following that and looking into that stuff. But, the scriptures say that, if you're anxiously awaiting his appearing, there's a reward for that. Yes. For those who anxiously wait for his appearing. So that's what JD does. I made a note like on the slide. It's on YouTube. It's also on Facebook, but it's uncensored on his website. So what happens is if you go to jdfarag.org and you watch the video there, it just continues all the way through. If you watch it on YouTube, there is a point where they start talking about things that big tech doesn't want you to talk about, that they cut it off and they go on their own website, so they're not going to get harmed, by YouTube or Facebook or whatever. So I appreciate that, being wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove, and like showing as much as you can on YouTube and then taking it back to the people who actually want to hear. I think that's good. Yeah.
You said second service was...
Oh, yes, that's correct. So first service is the prophecy update. Second service is the standard Calvary Chapel, going through the whole Bible verse by verse, chapter by chapter. That's what they do, and I appreciate that. So he does that second service every week as well. And there's a Thursday night, which is another different place in the Bible through the Bible, week by week. So pretty awesome. Those are the topic, or those are the resources that we have for today. There should be more. I'll have to keep looking and see if there's more. But one of the things we like from you is, like, if you have some things that you look at on YouTube and you could recommend other people, or Spotify, man, throw them in the comments and share them. I'm sure other people would like to get an idea of what, what are you doing on there, and what do you like? We have a verse here to close with. In 1 Timothy 4:13, it says, "Until I get there, focus on reading the scriptures to the church, encouraging the believers, and teaching them." And that's pretty much what all these YouTube and Spotify things, that's what they do for me. I think that's what
Well,
they
and that's
do.
what we want to do for you as well. I mean,
Yeah.
we want to live this out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we hope that you'll take that and enjoy it. And, I think one of the things we should start doing, I don't know if we're going to do this every week.
I don't know. What are we doing? I don't.
We're doing something totally different, Rich.
Okay.
Something totally different. And we may not do this ever again,
Okay,
but
all
I
right.
thought this would be fun. This is the Christian meme of the, or just a meme of the day.
Okay,
Here we
all
go.
All right.
Mediocrities.
It's good.
Good enough.
Good enough.
That's awesome. I love that.
All right.
Rich just sent that to me before the
Yes,
thing, and
yeah,
I think it's pretty,
yeah.
I think it's pretty
Yeah,
great.
we did what we could, and then like,
So as we always say, if you hear us say something stupid, remember, don't blame Jesus. That was our fault.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you
thank
next
you.
time. Have a good one.